Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm playing as the Northeastern Army, and I'm going to form the Chinese Republic. Well, first the new Fengtian Clique, then the Chinese Republic, and then the Chinese Empire. Now, normally these guys, they force an alliance between the Republic of China and, like, the Soviet Chinese, the communists. But if you take the ahistorical path, you can defeat them. And then, this is a very unique thing. This is I don't think they've ever done this before in Hearts of 4. You, like, basically move locations. So you annex, like, the Hebei clique or whatever they are. And you become the new Fengtian clique. And the guy who's the leader of this nation, he's the son of the leader of the Fengtian clique in Kaiserreich. So it's kind of like a Kaiserreich reference. But the history of the Fengtian clique, I'm going to be talking about it for a little bit. You can just look at the gameplay for a little bit. I think they were the more Japanese-aligned cliques out of all of them in Warlord China. I think they were eventually defeated by, like, the Zhili clique or something, or not the Kuomintang, though. And they control most of northeastern China. I don't know if they got destroyed. I think they were destroyed during the invasion of Manchuria by the Japanese, or at least what was left of them. I think they were kind of broken. I know they tried to take over the whole of China, or they tried to defeat, like, the Anshi or whatever, or the Zhili. I can't really remember their names. But anyways, I'm playing as them, and we're a part of the Chinese United Front at this point. It's just about holding out against the Japanese. That's really our main mission here. There is a minus 40% consumer goods buff in the Warlord focus tree, and that stays with you the whole time, so that's pretty good. But other than that, I think you get some pretty, like, good core defense buffs from the unique little focus tree that the Northeastern Army has. You get extra recruitable population, that sort of thing. So you get a couple of buffs to make it easier against the Japanese, because, usually this part of the war, the north part of the country just falls immediately. It's real tough. But, this time it wasn't that hard. I thought it'd be way tougher. It just took a long time to kick the Japanese out. But that's just the way it is. I think any sort of Hoi 4 micro is possible when you're playing at 3 or 4 speed. The only time really people can really ever get overwhelmed if they're playing on 5 speed and they just don't notice, like, a naval invasion or something. Anyways, I'm trying to just hold up in my part. I was hoping China would push them out, but they kind of struggle against them for a long time. I was hoping that by holding the north, the Japanese would do way worse in the war, but they didn't. So, I have to constantly garrison my coastline because of a lot of naval invasions. I try and push south to get a supply up, and it didn't turn out as well as I thought it would, but, that's just the way it is. I'd say overall this is a very unique focus tree. I've never seen them do the thing where, you basically become a new country, you move commands from the Northeastern Army all the way up to Beijing. Pretty cool, I must say. I know I did a very similar thing last episode where I basically reformed the same Republic of China as, I even get the same general in my army, the guy who was the leader of Manchuria, once you recruit the bandits. But, I decided to form the Chinese Empire just because that would make it a lot different, make it probably a lot cooler, than just doing the Republic of China all over again. So, yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't say this is the most difficult campaign. I've played a lot of Chinese campaigns just because, that's where a lot of the DLC content is. A lot of people have already made videos about the Japanese. I'll probably make one about them soon, or I might move on to a mod. I don't know. If you are watching this and you want me to play a mod, just comment it down below, and I'll play it. But, other than that, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to come up with commentary for all of this, so I'll stay quiet until I can think of something. So I did pull off this encirclement here, you know. When you are fighting like a superior enemy in Hearts of Iron 4, I think the best way for you to kind of break them down, you know, especially if they have more military industry, like if you're playing as the Soviet Union, you want to encircle them, you know, because, I mean, you can't really drain them of all of their equipment. Sometimes you can, but when they do that, like, especially when you're playing as, like, someone like the new Fengtian Clique, you also run out of your equipment, too. And the AI, it's gotten a lot smarter. It doesn't really just waste all of its equipment on a pointless offensive anymore. They have a lot more concise offensives. They clearly know, like, they put infantry with a lot of artillery, they put medium tanks on the front line now, and they try and make encirclements, and they can do counter encirclements now too, you know. I one time when I was trying to push south earlier in the video, you know, I think with the help of the Republic of China, I was able to encircle them. But then they encircled those divisions. I think I was able to break them out. But, I mean, I'm glad they upgraded the AI. You know, I think the game wouldn't be as fun if the AI wasn't that smart, you know. And, you know, I think instead of just buffing the AI, like turning on, like, the brutal difficulty, I don't find that fun. It just lowers the production cap by a lot, you know. So you're constantly thinking about, like, equipment instead of, you know, maneuvering or planning, that sort of thing, you know. It just makes the game less interesting. It's a fake sort of difficulty, you know, but I do like that they improved the AI, you know. Other than that, I think, you know, there weren't a lot of advisors, so there's nothing really big on the advisor front. Really the only unique content to this nation is that focus tree, that small section of the focus tree where you can either force Qing into an alliance with the communists, which, you know, pretty boring, just historical stuff, and then you just become an ally of the Republic of China. And this is also pretty fun, it's pretty unique, but, I mean, there's not much beyond that, you know, beyond those 10 or 12 focuses. You know, this is when I really start breaking out of the war. I probably should have capitulated Manchukuo first, because, I mean, you know, a lot of their divisions were on the front line, down in those big naval invasions, and Mingukuo are also over there too. You know, and getting rid of those divisions, that's like encircling them, except I don't have to, you know, go through all the effort of doing that. And that just makes it a lot easier. And besides, this was a lot easier. You know, the large infantry tactics, that little sub-doctrine is very good. It decreases the combat width of infantry. And if you're just fighting against, like, normal infantry, then you'll beat them pretty easily, pretty handily, because you just have a better combat width. You can fit way more divisions in battle at once, and you can reinforce meme them out, basically. Or you can just have a lot more soft attack in the battle at once, you know. So once I kick out Japan, I get a white peace with them, you know, and I start preparing to conquer the rest of China, because I don't think I got a decision to, like, subjugate the warlords, you know. I want to have a nice border for the end of the video, you know. One big problem for me here was that I just didn't have enough coal or steel, you know. I think there's a lot of resources in China in real life. I think they should add more resources over here, you know. And, you know, people may say, oh, they didn't have as much access to those resources like the Swedes or the Germans or the French, but, I mean, you could add decisions or focuses to, you know, get those throughout the game. And that would just make it a lot more fun. You know, I feel like that would make interacting with your country more interesting, you know. But maybe one thing against that would be that, you know, a motivation for invading another country would be resources, you know. Maybe not in China's case, but in the case of Japan, you know, the embargo feature they added, I think that's pretty good. I think it gets it closer to, you know, what happened historically, which is that they were afraid they were going to run out of resources and they wouldn't be able to beat the Chinese, which is why they went to war with the Allies. So I think maybe resource scarcity is something that would be a good mechanic, but it just depends on what country you're playing as, really. I just think it works less with China because it's such a large country. You know, it does have a lot of resources in real life, you know. And I think, I don't think them expanding because of a lack of resources is something that would really play into the historical part of Hearts of Iron 4, even the ahistorical part of Hearts of Iron 4, you know. But other than that, you know, I kind of get bogged down here. I start justifying on the Soviets because I want to get the nice, greater, you know, sort of empire of China borders for the end of the game here. You know, I upgrade a lot of my divisions with support companies just because I think a couple of them got buffed. I think signal companies got buffed. Engineer companies are still pretty good. I don't really know exactly what recon companies do. I don't know if they give you more intel or not, but they're still pretty cool. I stay non-aligned this whole time. You may think the Empire of China path may make you fascist. It doesn't, but it would be cool if there was like a path within that path that made it like a fascist Empire of China, you know? Oh, and then here it is again, you know, I forgot to, the British pushed back the Japanese in Burma, so then I just wasn't able to, I forgot to garrison, and then I lose a ton of land. That's just what happens sometimes, you know, and there are even more buffs. Like, there's a lot of attack on core territory buffs, even in the Empire of China tree. You know, I don't like when they add attack on core territory buffs in the, like, the super late game, just because, like, that's not very interesting, you know? You've already probably defended your core territory, except maybe if you were playing as the Soviets, you know? So, that's not that, like, useful that late in the game, you know? And you see, I'm upgrading a lot of my infrastructure just so I can get some more resources, you know? And yeah, and then that Papa Peace deal, you know? I make a little Soviet puppet to the north of me. You know, the strategy I used, I have to shout out the Enforcer guy, his YouTube channel. Also, for whatever reason, my divisions are stuck there. I don't know why that happened. The Enforcer guy, he made a video about this already. I saw it earlier, like just when the DLC released. I was like, wow, I have to do this. And then I saw the video. I was like, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should, but I decided to go ahead and do it anyways. But the strategy I used at the beginning of the video is what he kind of made like a guide for that, and that was really useful, you know, because the AI does kind of act weird. I was also taking a look at France just because, you know, I've been seeing Vichy be restored a lot more now to their full borders whenever the Axis are winning. I guess that doesn't happen a lot before the update. I feel like I barely ever saw it happen, but, you know. Any other changes this update, you know, ever since the Middle East DLC, I see Iran joining the Axis a lot, and that usually doesn't end up historical. I feel like it more often than not, it ends up like becoming a third front, you know, for the Allies and stuff, but it wasn't like, it ends up playing out over like a much longer time frame than like usual. So maybe there should be a decision, like a border war, that stops them from joining the Axis. Maybe I'll play as the Philippines next, I don't know. And I'm like just finishing up a couple of these insurgents here. But yeah, you know, Empire of China, pretty big. 416 factories, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know? I didn't get Korea as a puppet or anything. I just used the default, you know, China, Japan peace deal. But I think this is pretty good campaign overall. Let me know what y'all think. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was great. You know? And I think it's really neat when they add little trees like this. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.